welcome once again to another edition of Quick Trivia with Mike. It's the weekly game show right here at East Castle Place, where we test your knowledge of facts. Sometimes a little bit more historic in nature, sometimes very contemporary. Hopefully, always a lot of fun. I am your host and the Quizmaster, Mike Brever. I am joined today by my very special guest host of the week, Heidi Cole.
Hello, Mike.
Hello,
Happy
Heidi.
to be here.
How are you today?
I'm very well.
We're going to have a little bit of fun, aren't we?
We sure are.
And we're going to get a little bit of an update on things happening at East Castle Place, right?
We sure are.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
All right, excellent. You know how we play the game by now. We have 3 questions every week, and I begin the show by giving you the answers to last week's questions. Then we go off and we give you 3 new questions. But we have a new tradition here at Quick Trivia. I'm sure you're a regular viewer of Quick Trivia, so you know what it is, right?
Of course I am, Mike.
And the new tradition is?
Birthdays.
Birthdays of the week! Very good. I'm impressed,
There
Heidi.
you go.
Excellent. Birthdays this week. There really aren't that many. But if you see any of the birthday kids in the hall, please welcome them and greet them with birthday greetings from all of us. Shirley Brown on the 22nd of January. Doris Reisel on the 23rd of January. And Judy Frankowiak on the 25th of January. Happy birthday to all the birthday kids. And again, if you see any of them, wish them a happy birthday from all of us at Quick Trivia and wish them a wonderful week, right?
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Heidi, before we get into last week's questions, we're going to talk to you a
Oh,
little bit.
goodness.
I know she's
Be
been
easy on me,
she's
Mike.
been talking. I told her the hardest question is going to be why is Heidi spelled H-E-I instead of H-I-E? I promised her that would be the hardest question.
That is a very hard question. I can tell you that my mother didn't even know why, and she actually spelled my name wrong upon birth.
There you go.
Yes, however, my German grandfather made that correction, and
Okay.
I am Heidi today.
You know, interestingly enough, my family has somewhat of a similar story.
They do.
My grandmother on my mother's side was named Helen Marie G. G was her maiden name.
Okay.
She was Catholic. When she went to be baptized, the priest thought that everybody should have the name, all women, should have the name Mary or a derivative of Mary.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
without telling my great-grandparents, he baptized my grandmother as Marie Helen versus Helen Marie.
Oh, goodness. There you go.
But my grandmother honored my great-grandparents' wishes and went by Helen her entire life.
Her entire life. That's wonderful.
Because, here's the other reason why.
Okay.
Because my great-grandparents felt that Marie G sounded too much like a squeegee. So they didn't do it. They went with Helen.
I agree.
There you go.
I agree.
There you go. So tell us, what's happening in the world of marketing? First of all, for those of you that don't know, Heidi works with Anna. Cooper is a new employee in marketing.
Sure is.
And you work with a brand new employee, Alyssa.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening in marketing right now.
Yeah, so of course a lot's been happening. We're obviously thrilled and excited about the upcoming expansion and renovation here at East Castle Place. And of course, along with that expansion, our team is expanding as well. So we're really excited about all that has come in the last few months here. But more importantly, we are really excited and thrilled really to share that we are over 50% sold out already in
No
the new
kidding.
apartments. No.
50% sold out.
50%
Over.
sold out.
Now tell me,
Yeah.
there is gossip that was kind of it tied in to our being able to get loans and things like that.
Of
Is
course
that
it was.
correct?
Yes, of course it was. And
Okay.
we were well in advance of what our goal was. So we are very excited and thrilled to share that news, of course, with our entire team here at East Castle Place and, of course, you as the residents.
So, Heidi, tell me, what does that mean for a time frame now? Do we have any idea?
You know, at this point, I do not have that information. Of course, I believe that obviously this puts us on track, so we're very excited to say that. But no, I don't have any specific dates on things at this point.
Ironically, I don't either. And later on in the construction project, and as people start to see what's happening, we're going to be offering opportunities for people to remember loved ones with naming rights on certain things. So You'd think that I would know construction time frames too, but I don't either.
You know,
So
there's a
we
lot
shall
that
see.
goes into it. So again, we're just each doing our part to make sure we're on the right track to success. So we're very excited.
I think one of the things about East Castle is, I'm going to call it niche senior housing. There's a touch of elegance to East Castle, the old world charm almost, if you will.
Exactly.
Are the new units going to maintain that sense of elegance?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, we're trying to really have everything blend as a community. Because again, of course, East Castle Place itself is one community as a whole. You know, we're not going to have a building over here and a building over there. We're one full campus. So yes, we are looking to have everything really integrated and look very consistent throughout the campus. But of course, we are going, you know, with, as Anna had mentioned, gossamer gray, you know,
Gossamer
and
gray.
some other differences in that nature to really, you know, continue with that more modern feel. Because of course, you know, we're looking towards the future as well. So that's something that, you know, we're having those little changes and opportunities to grow.
That's going to be next week's trivia question, you know. How do you spell gossamer?
It's a great
we're giving
question,
you a
Mike.
heads up on that, so do your research on that. Anna, I'm sorry, I
goodness.
had Anna here about 2 months ago. Heidi, one of the most beloved things here at East Castle Place is the basement of Water Tower, the swimming pool, the recreation area. Are things like that going to be retained? Are we only renovating the residential floors, or is the basement where the recreation, the swimming pool going to be adapted as well?
That is actually all going to be adapted as well. We're very excited about that portion of the process. You know, of course, our fitness center and pool are wonderful, and Willie and his team have done a fantastic job, but we're just going to enhance what's already there.
So they'll still be there
It
for
still
people to
will
take
be there,
advantage of?
of course, but
Okay.
many advances will be taking place. We're going to actually double the size of our fitness center. You know, many of our residents currently are engaging in group exercise classes around campus rather than actually in the fitness center. So this is going to open up a whole new door. You know, we're going to be able to have, you know, group exercise and personal training and individual exercise going on all simultaneously. So it's really exciting.
I'm pretty excited about it. Most of you don't know, but I'm actually a regular user of our swimming pool
You sure are,
and
Mike.
the hot tub. I am. You know, when you're eating supper, that's when I'm down in the swimming pool, and I'm the only one down there. But it is just wonderful. If you've not been there yet, I highly recommend it.
Exactly.
Heidi, tell me a little bit, just 1 or 2 unit models. How many square feet, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms?
Yeah, so
just
we
1 or
have-
2. I know you're doing 30, you know, so.
Yeah, so we have quite a few different floor plans. You know, of course, one of the apartment's floor plans, of course, a few of them that have already sold out. Kenwood, Oakland, they are 2-bedroom apartments. There's only one of them, so 1 Kenwood and 1 Oakland. Off the market right away. Very exciting floor plans, again, a little over 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
You also do have, you know, our largest apartment, which is the Van Buren. We only have 1 apartment left out of the 4, but those ones are a little under 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
So again, really nice opportunities. We have apartments from a little, you know, under 900 square feet all the way up to, you know, almost 2,000.
That's
So
wonderful.
a nice range and variety for the prospective residents that we're working with now.
And I know you're hard at work finding new buyers, but what about some of the people that live here at East Castle Place already? What if they wanted to transition into a brand new unit as a result of construction? Is that even possible?
Yeah, so we do have some of our residents that are currently living at East Castle Place that have deposited on an apartment in the new building. Of course, I know Tyler's been very active in sharing information about how you can do that. If you do have any further questions about it, I would be happy to speak with you if you want to speak with Anna directly as well. So yes, that opportunity is still out there, so please come and contact us if you're interested.
Well, I know we're all looking forward to these things as they come to pass. I know you and Anna are working very, very hard on this. And it's to make East Castle Place better for all of us and for all of you. This is going to be a wonderful community when it's all done, I think.
It sure is. I'm very excited. And of course, I've had the opportunity to meet many of these people. And I just think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to have them join our family.
And I think one of the unspoken things, you know, we're all focusing on the renovation of Water Tower, but really the consolidation of our healthcare services under one roof on floors 1 through 5 at Bradford. The efficiencies and the economy of scale that they present are really going to make East Castle Place a much better community, don't you think?
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean now we have nurses floating the entire campus and they'll just be going up and down in an elevator.
Correct. Now we'll have to go to Bradford Terrace to visit Lena.
There you go. There you go. Well, Heidi, why don't we take a look at last week's questions, shall we?
Let's do that.
All right. Many of you don't know this, but before we started Quick Trivia with Mike, I used to work with the staff on a Friday Trivia of the Week. Heidi was a regular player. She is a research guru. She's the only one that I know of that actually got my trivia question of about 6 or 7 months ago. What famous hit TV show had female impersonators over a period of 17 years starring in the lead role? And she actually figured that out. I can see I may have stumped her now.
And I still remember the answer to that question. And the answer is, Mike? Take it away, Mike.
Lassie. The Lassie hit TV series.
Yes.
That's correct. Those actually were all male dogs. But I can tell you, at the time, Heidi figured it out. So I'm really impressed with her ability to do so. Let's look at last week's questions, shall we?
Last week's questions.
We talked a little bit about Henry Ford.
We did.
There is a misperception among some people that Henry Ford invented the automobile. That is not true.
Not true.
Henry Ford invented a new way to make the automobile. And we
Okay.
talked about that last week. It was
Take it away, Mike.
the assembly line.
The assembly line.
He invented the assembly line. He wanted to make cars cheaply enough that everyone in America could afford to own one.
Yeah.
However, he realized that if everyone in America is going to be able to afford to own a car, that begins with one thing, which is,
How much money they made?
yes, having enough money
There you
to
go.
buy a car. Henry Ford was a real precursor of realizing that employees need to earn a living wage. And so he actually increased his employees' wage to $2.50 a day.
A day.
But if you met certain requirements, you could increase that to $5 per day. That's the equivalent to today's money of earning $160 a day, or roughly $20 an hour. Clearly enough money for someone to be able to buy a car. Henry Ford, however, put 6 conditions
6 conditions.
that his
Here's-
employees had to meet to earn that magnanimous salary. And we asked you, what were those 6 conditions? You actually told me some of them this week. Do you remember?
I did. I believe one of them that stuck out to me was they needed to be patriotic. Was that one where they needed to speak the English language?
They needed to speak the English language. He called it becoming an Americanized.
Americanized,
But you could
yes.
call it patriotic.
Okay.
So we'll go with that. That's one.
I believe one was that if you were a gentleman, that you could not have your wife working. Correct?
It was that men's wives could not work outside the home.
Correct.
That was a second one. That is
Okay.
correct.
There also was one that if you were a woman, right, working and had children, single mother, is that one?
No.
Oh, goodness.
No.
Oh, goodness.
I'll help you.
Okay, help
I'll
me
help
out,
you.
Mike.
Men had to abstain from alcohol and
Oh,
gambling.
yes, and gambling.
They had to be people of high
Yes.
virtue. Men could not physically abuse their families.
It's a great one.
That was one of them.
What about cleanliness? Was that one, Mike?
People had to keep their homes clean. You had, now,
There
I
you
don't know
go.
how
I'd
Henry
win
Ford
that
checked
one.
on that, but you had to keep your homes clean. And one of the ways that you could help keep your home clean was the sixth one.
How to keep your house clean?
Yep, you could not take in boarders. People could not take boarders into their house.
Borders.
Renters.
Oh,
You could
yes,
not rent out
okay.
rooms.
So you couldn't rent.
Your house
okay.
had to be for your family.
Only.
And that was
Understood.
it. Correct.
And he did have people actually looking into this, correct, Mike?
He did. He did.
Interesting.
Ironically, because he wanted to be a man of high virtue, he wanted to have his workers be people of high virtue. He also, one of the most virulent anti-Semites of the 20th century, I think we've learned as time goes on that people are not defined by black or white in terms of character. Everybody is a shade of gray. So he wanted to be a man who was perceived as being strongly virtuous, but he had his own skeletons in his closet. That's correct. But that was it. Henry Ford had 6 things.
Wow.
And that was them. That was question number 1. Question number 2. You got this one as well.
Did I?
I listed the 14 tallest individuals in the NBA.
Oh, yes.
Ralph Sampson was the shortest of the 14 at 7 feet 4 inches tall.
Yes.
The tallest person to ever play in the NBA, 2 people are tied for it, but one gets the credit for it because he weighed more than the other.
Okay.
The one who came in second was Manute Bol at 7'7". Ironically, Manute Bol's nephew now plays for the Milwaukee Panthers.
Wow.
I've gone down and seen him play.
Wow. I would have a hard time dancing with him, I think.
I think so. You'd have a hard time reaching down. He'd have to pick you up off your feet. Those would be awful tall high heels.
They sure would.
You'd be wearing, yeah. The tallest person was George Morrison. And again, George Morrison at 7'7" gets to be the person who is claimed as the biggest because he also weighed 315 pounds. Believe it or not, Manute Bol, 7'7". How much do you think he weighed?
7'7"?
7'7".
I remember you saying this. It's like under 200 pounds,
It
wasn't
was
it?
exactly 200.
That is
Unbelievable,
tiny.
isn't it?
Wow,
I'm almost
skinny.
there. I'm almost there.
That is skinny.
It is. I mean, the man was a string bean, and
Wow.
it truly affected his ability
I bet.
as a basketball player.
Difficult.
My question to you last week, who is the shortest player in NBA history? And you knew this.
I did know this. And I knew it because my son is a tiny 7-year-old. And
All
he told me
7-year-olds
he
are
wanted to be a basketball player, and he said that he couldn't because he's not going to be tall enough. And so I said to him, well, let's find out who the shortest person in the NBA was. And there it was at 5'3", a staggering 5'3".
Correct.
Muggsy.
Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
Muggsy Bogues. Astonishingly, he played 14 seasons.
It's amazing.
10 of those with the Charlotte Hornets. Muggsy Bogues was 5'3", and the man could dunk.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Good things coming.
Small packages.
There you go.
The man had a vertical leap that was second to none. So there you go. Our third question of last week, we talked a little bit about television, television networks, and we specifically talked about the founder of one. The founder of the Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN,
Got it.
Pat Robertson, born in 1930, March 22nd, 1930. In addition to founding the CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, he founded a specific program on that network. And he was the host of it for like 30 years. He's not anymore, but he's a regular guest on the show that he created, called the 700 Club.
Ah, yes.
It's called the 700 Club because early in his tenure in trying to get his television network started, he asked for 700 of the faithful to call in and make a monthly pledge to help sustain the Christian Broadcasting Network. And I asked you, our viewers, how much was it that he asked everybody to donate on a monthly basis of the 700 faithful? And the answer was?
Mike?
$10 a month.
Yeah.
$7,000 a month was all it cost to host the Christian Broadcasting Network. You all know that I worked at Milwaukee PBS for 5 years. There is nothing that goes for $700 a month anymore.
No.
Not even one show.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Our budget at Milwaukee PBS was minuscule compared to most television stations, but we had a $14 million budget annually. I mean, I'm telling you, a contemporary, state-of-the-art television camera nowadays is hundreds of thousands of dollars. But he sustained a network on $10 a month from 700 people, hence the name the 700 Club, which will live in infamy.
Wow.
There you go. Those are the 3 questions from our program last week. We're now going to take a brief intermission. Then we're going to come back with Heidi, and we're going to give you 3 questions for the coming week. So, go out, get yourself a donut, a cup of coffee, a little bit of brain food, because we've got some great brain teasers for you in the second half. Hurry back, we'll be right here.
See that girl barefoot in the lawn, whistling and singing, she's carrying on. Got laughing in her eyes, dancing in her feet. She's a neon light line and she can dance on the street. Hey, 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 coming by every day. Hey, 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 coming by every day. Well, everybody's dancing in a ring around the sun. Nobody's finished, we ain't even begun. So take off your shoes, child, take off your hat, shine your wings and fly to habitat. Hey, 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 coming by every day. Hey, 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 coming by every Take a vacation, fall out for a while. Summer's coming in with us, going out in style. Well, light out smoking, honey, have yourself a ball. 'Cause your mama's down and never smoking back till the fall. Hey, 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 coming by every day. Hey, hey, coming by every day. Coming by every day. Coming by every
Welcome back to the second half, everybody. I'm joined by my wonderful guest host, Heidi Cole. You all know her from her role in marketing. Many of you actually found out about the very units you're living in right now because of Heidi, right?
Yeah.
Heidi, how long have you worked in marketing?
So I've worked in marketing for about, well, in marketing in general?
Yes.
Oh, I've worked in marketing for over 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been at East Castle Place?
Going on over 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
If memory serves me correct, that means that you probably cut your chops with Bill Eason.
I sure
right?
did. A wonderful mentor.
Oh,
Yeah.
a wonderful mentor,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's probably something that you and Anna have in common.
We sure do.
Both of you learned the East Castle way by learning the Eason way.
Yes,
right?
you're exactly right. And I still talk to Bill this day, so.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
He's a wonderful gentleman.
He's now where I think he's in South Carolina or North Carolina.
He is, probably drinking a beer on the beach.
There you go. A wonderful man.
Hello, Mike,
Bill.
Bill, if you're watching.
See, she gets tongue-tied on names once. It's not just
I had to
me.
do that.
It's not just me as an old guy.
There you go.
The young, beautiful people get tongue-tied as well. So, what's the change now? Given the fact that you both trained under Bill, what's the biggest difference, do you think, between Bill and Anna? Anything in particular?
Well, obviously there's a difference, a little difference, right, in age.
Okay.
You know, I think Anna has definitely a fresh look and perspective on things. Anna's very educated, obviously from the schools right here in the state, so we're very excited about all that she's been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. So I think Bill did a fantastic job at, really giving us the fundamentals, and I think that Anna's just kind of taken that information and gathered it together and really created a team that's been obviously very successful at this time. So we're thrilled.
I'm really impressed with what I've seen from the two of you and with your team now. Previously it was Fern. Now you've got Cooper and Alyssa. I'm sure they're just going to pick right up where
Sure
Fern left
are,
off.
and obviously it's just fantastic they have so many different, characteristics about them that's just adding so much to the team. Cooper obviously already being a family member of East Castle Place, it's been a really smooth transition. And of course, Alyssa has had not much experience in senior living, so being in the same even room, right, as Cooper, sharing the same office, I think it's really a great learning experience for them to do it together. And of course, Anna and I are there to support them and help them grow in their roles as well.
I think it's wonderful. I think, they're two dynamic people and wonderful support team for you and Anna.
Yeah.
And as you just explained, you're a support team for them as well. So it all works out. Now, Anna's academic training, as you explained, was local. I know it was Marquette and it was Concordia. We learned that when Anna was here 2 months ago. What was your background?
Oh goodness, so my academic background was actually going to tech school. That's where I started.
All right.
So I was in tech school actually in the junior year of high school because I had planned to be a nurse. Like that was my dream job.
No kidding.
Yeah. And of course I started, I got my CNA license by the time I was already a senior in high school and started working full time. And then of course I kind of developed from there, but I ended up going to school and graduating in psychology. At Parkside, odd situation there, yeah.
Okay.
I did some work at UWM as well, but I did not graduate from UWM. But yeah, a lot of schooling all over the place, but what really took place for me was really on the job training. I had the wonderful opportunity to work with many mentors along the way, like yourself, Mike, to be able to do what I do today. And of course, that's just the opportunity to share with people, what East Castle Place has to offer currently, and some other opportunities that led me here. We're working for a company called Sava Senior Care. And so with them, I was able to, have a lot of opportunity to work with wonderful sales professionals all over the world. And so I learned a lot from them, and that's what I brought here to East Castle Place.
That's great. It's a wonderful background, and I personally believe that the more varied a background is, the more skills you can bring to a job. So I really think that that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell me now, I asked this of Anna. Situation was a little bit different for her because her baby is coming up on 2 years old.
Well,
Your children are a little bit older.
I do.
But I do.
I'm not much older though.
That's correct. I know that. Tell me though, what does a mother, what does a family do in the time of COVID, given the fact that socializing is such an important part of children developing, properly? How do you accommodate a normal childhood in the days of COVID?
Wow, that's a good question, Mike. Well, I would say, they always say about children is it takes a village, right? And I know obviously during COVID we've all had to kind of stay away, but I still think it does take a village. We've been very blessed to say that our children's go to a wonderful school. So they go to Concordia Lutheran School, which is in Sturtevant. Shout out to them. But a great school that's been in session all through really the pandemic. So we were out of school for about 2 weeks. That's about it. Other than that, they've been very strict, of course, with protocols and making sure that our children are safe. But having them be able to go to school and create that regularity, that strict schedule has really been very beneficial to our family. But in a lot of ways, I think we grew as a family. Being able to, not have as many outdoor excursions, going on trips and, visiting at, many friends' houses and doing those things. We were at home together, a lot more movie nights and around the table experiences, desserts, when mom gets home late at 7:30. Don't quote me on that. Probably shouldn't feed kids ice cream at 7:30. But a working mom, we have to have those special nights.
Yes,
so making the most of every moment. Mike, I think that's the most important thing with kids. I have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old, which we're very blessed to say. And
I'll tell you, making the most of every moment.
we gotta try to.
COVID or not, I think that is a great slogan for parents and
Yeah.
for families. You know, now I have a tip for you for movie night.
All right, movie night.
My wife and I are finally empty nesters. We had 4, and our youngest graduated from UW Whitewater in July. We also have a beautiful fireplace in our family room with a
Okay.
large screen TV. So my wife and I now enjoy movie
Movie
night
night.
as well. You know, and we're on Netflix and Prime, but we're also on some of the free ones because of Roku,
Okay.
Tubi and Pluto and things like that. Wonderful old movies. But what's really nice is to light that fire, go make some hot cocoa, and put in
Extra marshmallows.
Bailey's Irish Cream.
Everyone loves Bailey's Irish cream, especially residents here.
In hot cocoa.
Oh, that sounds
It is
delicious.
wonderful. And for those of you that don't know, I think I mentioned this during the holidays, I actually make my own Bailey's Irish Cream. I have a wonderful recipe. If you ever want it, come and see me. But it's a great recipe,
Sounds great.
and it is wonderful in hot cocoa. We're each, my wife and I, sleeping by the end of the movie sometimes, but it's a lot of fun. Well, Heidi, should we take a look at this week's questions?
I think we should.
All right. We're going to start off in the world of sports. There was a tennis player by the name of Vitas. Sometimes some people call it Vitus, but I call it Vitas. Vitas Gerulaitis. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Vitas Gerulaitis, born July 26, 1954.
Okay.
Passed away September 17th, 1994. Tragically, he was staying with friends in their cottage on their estate,
Uh-huh.
and there was a malfunction in the HVAC system, a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. He died from carbon monoxide poisoning
Oh my
from a
goodness.
malfunctioning furnace. Vitas Gerulaitis, actually, for a typical player, had a wonderful, wonderful career. Not because of all the Grand Slam titles that he won, but because of, you know, the fact that he really was a very good professional tennis player. He was he won the doubles title at Wimbledon, partnering with Sandy Meyer. He won the men's singles title at the Australian Open twice. Now, the Australian Open is the first of the Grand Slam tournaments every year.
Okay.
It's the Australian, the French, Wimbledon, and then the U.S. Open. He won the Australian twice.
Wow.
So those, unfortunately, though, were his only Grand Slam titles.
Titles.
In his career, he earned $2,778,748. His career record was 532 wins, 232 losses, which actually was pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, you know, Grand Slam means the 4 major titles, but there's other tournaments as well. He actually won 26 tournaments during the course of his career. However, as I've explained, he only won 2 Grand Slam titles. In every era, there are a couple of players that really stand out.
Okay.
You know, the names that everybody remembers. There is one player in particular.
Oh no, he's starting to laugh.
One player in particular that beat Vitas Gerulaitis
Oh,
16 times in a row.
oh my goodness.
16 tournaments in a row. This particular player knocked Vitas Gerulaitis out of the tournament. Clearly that took place over several years. Every time he played this one player, he would lose. 16 times
Did he
in a
ever
row.
win?
Here's where we go. On July 12th, 1980, he finally beat this
Beat him.
particular tennis player, and he famously said, and let that be a lesson to you all, nobody beats Vitas Gerulaitis 17 times in a row. No, but let that be a lesson to you. Nobody beats Vitas Gerulaitis 17 times in a row.
Only 16.
That's correct. My question to you, who is this famous tennis player
Oh, goodness.
that Vitas Venus Gerolitis beat the 17th time.
All
that
right,
played
our
them.
tennis players.
There you go.
Paolo
So,
Tarantino,
now,
Rita Bacalar's.
I know you probably know the answer, so don't shout it out. Don't shout it out. But there you have it. Nobody beats Venus Gerolitis 17 times in a row. That's question number one.
Question one.
Question number one. Question number two.
Number two.
We had a question similar to this several months ago. We talked about nature, tragic nature, not human nature, but nature. We took a look at famous floods in history.
Thanks.
In 1931, there was a flood in China. Between 500,000 and 4 million people died. It occurred in a rural area where census wasn't a very good thing. 1931. In 1887, the Yellow River flood in China. Between 900,000 and 2 million passed away. In 1938, the Yellow River flooded again in China. Between 500,000 and 800,000 died. In 1975, the Bangui Dam failure flooded in China. 229,000 died. China's not the only one with tragedies. In 1099, the Netherlands and England shared a flood that took the lives of 100,000 people. In 1287, the Holy Roman Empire, the St. Lucia's flood, between 50 and 80,000 people died. In 1974, Bangladesh, 28,700 people died as a result of a flood caused by a monsoon. In the United States, potentially the most famous flood was the Johnstown flood. Occurred May 31st, 1889. The Little Conemaugh River flooded as a result of days and days of rain. It burst a dam, it flooded downstream. 2,209 people died. It is estimated that the flow of water was equal to the Mississippi River at that time. And this was just a little, it actually was a resort area. And actually, that's my phone, but we're going to let it go because this is much more important. So there you go. Try not to pay any attention. I'll get that in a couple minutes. My question to you, however, is that on January 15th, 1919, there was a flood down the city streets of Boston. The city streets of Boston on January 15th, 1919, 2.3 million gallons of something flowed down the streets. And as a result of that, 21 people were killed and 150 people were injured. Buildings were swept off their foundation and moved several blocks because of the flood. My question to our viewers, what flooded? What was this commodity that flowed through the streets of Boston on January 15th, 1919 that caused such devastation? Question number two. Question number three.
Something a little bit more upbeat, Mike.
We are.
Okay,
We are.
thank goodness.
Well, I thought Venus Gerolitis was kind of upbeat. That was kind of fun. Okay.
Okay.
Hollywood history.
Hollywood
history. Three of the biggest movie franchises of all time. The James Bond series of movies. I believe it now stands at 27. No Time to Die with Daniel Craig was the most recent. It just came out.
Great movie.
Opening weekend, it took in $55 million.
Oh
To
my
date, worldwide,
goodness.
it's taken in $770 million. All told, the 27 James Bond movies have taken in $7,890 million in revenue.
Wow.
Some of the famous actors that played James Bond: Sean Connery, Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore. Actually, in order, I think I just listed them to you, who my favorites are. I think it's Sean Connery, Daniel Craig, then Pierce Brosnan, and then nobody else. I
You're
don't think,
done after
I don't
that.
think any of the other ones qualify,
There we
but
go.
there were 8 that played them.
Okay.
So there you have it. $7.8 billion in revenue from James Bond movies. The Harry Potter movies.
Ah,
The Harry Potter movies
Potter.
took in $7.73 billion worldwide. Now you know J.K. Rowling only wrote 7 books,
Correct.
but they turned it into 8 movies just to get a little bit extra money out of it. The 7th and final book, they turned into 2 movies. Of course, a main character in those movies was, of course, Dumbledore. One of the lead characters in Dumbledore. So $7.73 billion worldwide. A third one, fantasy film,
Okay.
the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which actually became 4
Haven't
movies.
seen that one.
J.R.R. Tolkien is the author. The original book, the introduction was The Hobbit. And then you go off
yes.
into the Lord of the Rings
Okay.
series, the Twin Towers, A Return of the King,
Okay.
just a wonderful, wonderful series of movies. And believe me, the books are better than the movie. I've actually read all the Harry Potter books, and I've read the Lord of the Rings books. I'm telling you.
Mike, are these books in our library here at East Castle Place?
I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure. I can tell you though, Lord of the Rings is a heavier read
Okay.
because it was intended for adults.
Okay.
Harry Potter was intended for like teenagers.
Teenagers.
So it's a little bit easier read.
Okay.
But both series are just wonderful. I've also read many of the original James Bond books from Ian Fleming. You know, now there's people that still write James Bond books, but they're not Ian Fleming. So I haven't read those. Again, Lord of the Rings took in $2.9 billion. There is something that ties all three of these movies together. First of all, in the Harry Potter movies, Dumbledore, very, very famous character in there. Richard Harris and Michael Gambon ultimately played Dumbledore in those movies. Richard Harris played Dumbledore in the first 2, and then Michael Gambon came in because Richard Harris passed away.
Right.
In Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, played by Ian McKellen and John Huston, in different movies. Wonderful portrayal of Gandalf the Wizard. We've already talked about the lead characters in the James Bond movies. My question to you and our readers, there is one very famous actor, an actor who actually, I have it in here somewhere, he's actually an Emmy award-winning actor. Before Sean Connery turned down the role of James Bond, believe it or not, he also turned down the role of Gandalf. And he also turned down the role of Dumbledore. Arguably, 3 of the most successful franchises of all time.
And he
raising
turned it down.
$19 billion. And he turned down, not the lead role in all of them, in the James Bond it would have been the lead, but the other one's a very significant character. He turned them all down. Who is this actor who turned down
Great question.
all
Who is
3
he?
of those roles? Who is that foolish to turn down
Oh my goodness.
roles that literally
So is
define
it
a
who?
career?
Just who, not
Just
why?
who.
We
No,
don't
no,
know
not
why.
why.
We may
Just
not know
who.
why.
Just who.
Okay.
Correct.
Who?
Tell me who that actor was. Those are the 3 questions today. Put on your thinking caps. Get me the answers. Try to get me the answers if you want to play along by noon on Monday. mbereaver@eastcastleplace.com or call me at 963-8425. Write your answers on a sheet of paper, slide them under my office door, or what's
Just
the option?
walk on in.
Yes, the door's never locked. Walk
always open.
on in, it's always open. So there you have it, folks. That's our show for the week. I want to thank my very special guest host, Heidi Cole, for sitting in with me today. Thanks, Heidi. I had a great time.
I had a really fun time too, Mike.
Maybe
I
we'll
hope
have
you
you back
invite
again.
me again.
Good. I think we'll have her back sometime, don't you think? That's our show for this week. I am the host and the quizmaster, Mike Brever. I really want to thank all of you for tuning in. spending this last half hour with us. I also want to thank the president of ECTV, Tyler Gudex, my cameraman and editor, Scott McFerrin. We're still trying to figure out who is the new Cooper Ledvin, my artistic director. We don't have that figured out yet, but we will. There you have it, folks. That's our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Until we see you next week, we ask you, please do not forget the very famous words of that wonderful actress, Betty White. The very famous words, we encourage you to get 8 hours of beauty sleep every night.
But if you're ugly,
get 9. Get 9. There you have it, everybody. So long. We'll see you next week.